With the discovery of rune essence, human development and dominance was about to enter a new age. No longer would it be the Age of Mortals. The Fifth Age would be known as the Age of Man. With the dominance of humanity, the Fifth Age was marked by the establishment of human kingdoms. No longer nomadic barbarians, the humans settled and began to re-establish culture and a stable society. The story of the Fifth Age is also the story of the knightly orders of Asgarnia. In the final years of the Fourth Age, the White Knight Order was created in the city of Avaroka, now simply called Varrock. They were given simple orders: travel over the River Lum, protect the Asgarnian tribes in the region, and convince them to join the kingdom of Mistalin.
We were formed at the end of the Fourth Age before the founding of Asgarnia as a nation under King Raddallin more than 150 years ago.
Around this same time, Lord Sanafin Valzin, while advocating for reduced Saradominist influence on the king, fled Varrock after accidentally inciting a riot. With the rediscovery of how to craft runestones, the Wizards Guild, built in Yanil in the First Age, was reinvigorated with a wave of new applicants to further study stones. From the guild, 4 orders formed under the banners of different gods: the Saradominist Blues, the Gothixian Greens, the Zamarakian Reds, and the Greys, who encompass the followers of the lesser-known gods. The 4 united orders and built a second tower on a small island in the unquiet ocean, the Wizard's Tower. Sanafin Valzin, now leader of a group of Zamarakian nomads in Caridia, had a vision where he was told by Zamorak to lead his people to a land where they and their Zamarakian brothers could thrive and live free from persecution. Valzin took his people from the desert and arrived in Falador, home of the Dombless clan led by Raddallin. Here they found that the clansmen and the White Knights were engaged in a war with a coven of dark mages. Together, the clans, the White Knights, and Valzin's followers defeated the dark mages and claimed their cache of runestones. A tribe of Saradominists known as the Carnilians, using their newfound magics, decided to liberate Kandarin from their Margarat oppressors. The Carnilians, in the dark of night, swarmed Haziel's mansion and executed all within. They were unable to kill Haziel, but were able to put him into a state of torpor. From Haziel's former mansion, they ruled Asgarnia. However, for some reason, they allowed Khazad to remain to their south. With the combined manpower of the tribes and use of the runestones, Raddallin was able to transform humble Falador into Falador, a true city of stone and marble. This attracted the attention of their pious neighbours, who let their wishes be known. The Church of Intrana wanted to recognise Raddallin as king in the eyes of Saradomin. While this was the legitimacy the new kingdom needed, it also brought in the church as another force for Valzin to contend with. Raddallin received the crown from the high priest with Valzin at his side, and the kingdom of Asgarnia was born.
For their vital roles, the White Knights were officially named the kingdom's defenders, and Valzin's now sizable cadre of warriors were formally organized into a knightly order. They were Asgarnia's spies, assassins, and enforcers. Lord Valzin named them Kinshra, a name that came from an elite group of Zamarakian warriors during the God Wars. They were said to wear the faces of demons into battle, inspiring him to add horns to the helmets of their own black armor, and it was from this the nickname, Black Knights, arose.
The druidic stone circle outside of Varrock was captured by dark wizards, and was used to summon the demon Delrith with the intention of destroying the city. The hero, Wally, wielding the newly forged blade Silverlight, slayed the demon, banishing him to Infernus. The sailor Dracs Melrose claimed to receive a vision from Guthix instructing him to reform the Void Knights, the order of the knights that helped Guthix fight against Bandos's forces in the Third Age, and to prepare them for a coming threat. The Void Knights joined the Black and White Knights as the defenders of Asgarnia. For half a century, the three orders would stand united against all threats toward their nation.
In my dreams, I saw the Eye of Guthix fall on me, a warning of the future threat given, and was told I must act. The extinct knights must rise again. I heard reform the Void Knights. A threat to equilibrium approaches, and pacifism of the druids must be balanced by military order.
A Fremennik warrior named Gunnar led a great crusade against the magic users of the world. While their main force marched through Kandarin and into Asgarnia, many smaller groups specifically targeted the world's runecrafting altars, destroying nearly all of their exterior temples. One of these smaller groups also razed the mage training arena in its entirety. The Kinshra, led by Valzen himself, attempted to rout the Fremennik in the wilderness, and they succeeded in massacring their northern force, only to learn later that it was a distraction. The Fremennik sent a second, much larger army to attack Camdozal, the home of the magic-wielding Imcando Dwarves, in the reclaimed ruins of the ancient Zerosian fortress Lassar. The Imcando was slaughtered, and the Crown Prince of Falador died on the battlefield assisting in the Dwarves' defence. Around this time, 2 swords were commissioned to be made, one for Sir Peria, Grand Master of the White Knights, and a second for Lord Valzen. In a public ceremony, Sir Peria received his, but due to outcry from the nobility over the death of his son, Raddallin hid Valzen's sword along with a hidden note.
Sanafin, I hope this letter finds you. Things have been strained in this kingdom of ours of late. I want you to know that, no matter how loudly the White Knights may say otherwise, your role in the foundation of this great and united nation has not been forgotten. As I'm sure you remember, 2 months ago the Council of Falador presented Grand Master Peria with a sword and declared him savior of the city. I believe this action was taken to embarrass you and your Order of Kinshra. To redress this, I have commissioned a similar sword for you. It was my intention to have the Council present it to you similarly, but they have refused. I hope that you find yourself in Falador again soon. Though I hold the faith of the Seradominists in great respect, they are becoming more and more boisterous in their proselytization. In the absence of your public and respectable face, I fear the name of Zamorak is becoming tarnished in the eyes of my people. In nomine Seradom, in nomine Zamorak, in nomine Guthix. Forever your friend.
In year 70, Perian the Blue and several members of his order arrived in the city of Falador, blooded and exhausted. They told a lie, and it spread quickly. Zamorakian wizards had reportedly destroyed the Wizard's Tower as part of a plot to gain power over the realm. As a result, Zamorakians were mobbed in the streets, and the Kinshra became a target of the Asgarnian nobility and Church of Saradomin. To quell the unrest, King Raddallin reluctantly asked Valzen to take his knights and relocate to the north to protect the kingdom from the dangers of the wilderness. Their new base would be fortified with royal funds, eventually becoming the Black Knight fortress that stands today. Around this time in Varrock, the Dagonhai Zamorakian mages based in Varrock were also banished as a result of the Blue Wizard's lies. For the next 100 years it would remain a secret that the ones who had destroyed the tower were the Saradominist wizards, sabotaging a spell simply because the knowledge came from the mouth of a demon. One cold morning, Lord Valzin was found to have died peacefully in his sleep. He was succeeded by his secretary as Lord of the Kinshra. Several years later, King Raddallin II passed, and with him, all goodwill for the Kinshra. He was succeeded by his eldest grandson. Young and lacking resolve, he was easily manipulated by the Church of Saradomin and the Saradominist nobility. Around the year 95, a group of Zamorakians moved into an abandoned watchtower northwest of Ardoin, harassing the people of the city for several years with minor acts of theft, vandalism, and the like. The people of Ardoin hired a group of Saradominists to rid them of their terrorizers, which culminated in an event known as the Great Battle. At the end of the battle, only 2 survivors remained, one on each side. They agreed to cease hostilities and convert to Gothixianism. One would go on to become a powerful merchant and found the Ardoin market, while the other would become the next king of Ardoin, with all future heirs bearing his last name, Ardignus. In the year 98, the Church asserted their control over the new king of Falador by orchestrating the expulsion of the Void Knights, despite protests by both the White Knights and the remaining Kinshra representatives in the capital. The Void Knights sought refuge in Tavali, where they built a hidden fortress deep underground.
The King of Falador was overly heedful of the Church of Saradomin in limiting our influence to the Tavali surrounds. Even the White Knights and the Kinshra, in concert with my predecessor, could not change his mind.
Valzin's successor died in the year 114 and was replaced. When the Great Famine hit, Falador stopped sending food and supplies to the Kinshra, who were forced to raid and pillage just to survive. In the year 130, Shadwell, Valzin's adopted son, killed the current occupant and claimed the title of Lord of the Kinshra for himself. Shadwell began a shadow campaign, assassinating nobles, painting the White Knights in a bad light, and simply sating his revenge on the Saradominists for belittling his father for so many years. Shadwell, ever the hypocrite, even banned women and mages from serving in the order. King Valens became the 4th king of Asgarnia. He also gave his son, Prince Anlaf, lordship of the town of Berthorpe in order to give him experience in governing. The grandson of the first king Ardignus, Ulthus, declared that his kingdom would be split between his 2 sons, Tyrus and Lathas. Upon Ulthus's death, the 2 kings divided the city of Ardoin in half. Tyrus ruled the west, and Lathas ruled the east. King Tyrus ruled West Ardoin for some time, expanding the city as far west as the Galapus Mountains and accidentally uncovering the Underground Pass, an ancient elven tunnel system that once connected Kandarin to the ancestral home of the elves. From here, King Tyrus began exploring the west. Shortly after this, King Lathas declared West Ardoin under quarantine as a plague began spreading through the city and mourners began to enforce the quarantine across the city. The pirate Rabid Jack led his fleet in an assault against Mosley Harmless, the regional home of piracy, in a bid to get more control over the region. He was driven south by a united resistance led by Gentleman Mallard. Jack gathered his fleet in the Cursed Archipelago and launched a bloody assault upon most of the mainland's coastal regions. In response, the Customs and Excise Office, an independent agency tasked with enforcing maritime law, launched a massive anti-piracy campaign. The campaign drastically harmed the resistance, more so than Captain Jack's forces, and they decided that they needed to end him once and for all, hoping that with his death, Customs would cease their operations against the pirates. Mallard again led his fleet, assisted by Captain Braindeath, Captain Izzy Nobeard, Bill Teach, Brass Hand Harry, One-Eyed Hector, Redbeard Frank, Young Ralph, and Lizzie. They managed to destroy his fleet, and Captain Jack jumped overboard, supposedly to his death. Crandor was a rich city-state in the Unquiet Ocean. It was the centre of trade in the region and even had its own school of magic that rivaled the Mages Guild and the Wizard's Tower, possessing one of the largest libraries in the world. One day, an explorer delved into Crandor's depths, discovering the lair of an abandoned Dragonkin weapon, Elvarg. Designed intentionally to be more aggressive, the enraged dragon killed the adventurer and followed his scent to the surface. From there, she unleashed her dragonfire upon the unwitting civilization. As much of the city was built on piers and wharves, it was reduced to ash and memory.
Most hunt Elvarg for glory or a single shield, but few reflect on the gravest genocide of this century.
129 years after their founding, the Void Knights heard reports of invaders, ravenous beasts, from places unknown invading the Southern Isles.
The shadowy threat Melrose saw has revealed itself. I am as sure of this as if Guthix appeared before me and told me himself. Young Matthias, my newest Commodore, agrees. We must prepare to move the bulk of our forces to meet this threat. He will lead them, for I must remain in Taverley to meet the political demands of this course of action. Our purpose has arrived.
After the exodus of the Void Knights, Shadwell learned of their hidden base under Taverley and captured it for the Kinshra, and slaughtered the remaining Void Knights. The Majorat Lucian attacked Varrock, attempting to steal the shield of Arav, much like his cousin Zemorigal did nearly 1300 years prior. Joining him were a number of necromancers under his command, including the mage Solus Delagar and a host of undead. Notably, the battle mage Nomad fought to defend the city, destroying many of Lucian's forces.
I learned of a new necromancer, a powerful being called Lucian. I needed his attention, and I knew being his rival would earn more notice than being a sycophant. I knew he was preparing a great attack, and I would get his attention by standing against him.
In the year 161, Lord Shadwell was working with Solus Delagar, the murder mage, on an unknown mission in Edgeville. For reasons unknown, Delagar betrayed the Kinshra and began killing anyone and everyone around him. It took the combined forces of over 2,000 black and white knights to stop him. In the end, Delagar had killed nearly 2,400 knights and civilians, Lord Shadwell included. After an election, Lord Milton became the new commander for the Black Knights. By this point, only the moderating influence of the king had prevented outright war from being declared between the knightly orders. Suddenly, and without explanation, King Valent disappeared from the public eye. The White Knights claimed that he fell ill, and Sir Amic Vars assumed regency of Asgarnia. Prince Anlaf, still ruling Berthorpe, went into hiding. Sir Amic's first major act was an attempt to completely strip all remaining power from the Kinshra and banish them entirely. The last representatives within the city were removed, titles were revoked, and accolades were struck. History was literally rewritten. The White Knights now claimed that Falador was founded in the first year of the age by the White Knights and removed all historical references to the Black and Void Knights. Lord Milton declared war on Falador. Lord Milton failed to achieve any victories against the White Knights, and was subsequently assassinated and succeeded by Lord Sulla, who stood unopposed. He organised the events of the War of 164 and the Siege of Falador, which ended with him crippled by the adventurer Caramir and losing his position. Lord Dequarius Renard was subsequently named Lord of the Kinshra, becoming the youngest to ever attain the position, reversing many of Shadwell's draconian measures, allowing mages and women to once again serve, and tempering relations somewhat with the capital. Over the course of the next year, Misthalin would come under siege by the vampire Tenebra Romanis, a centuries-old Misthalin royal that had been turned by Venescula Draken. Caramir and her companions worked with Lord Dequarius, the Varrock Royal Guard, and the Wizard's Tower to stop an invasion over the River Salve, which ended when Caramir slayed Tenebra with one of the Sun Spears. Shortly after Lord Dequarius became Lord of the Kinshra, the White Knights orchestrated Operation Dawn Ascent, where they killed a number of high-ranking members of the Black Knights. Notably, Sir Owen assassinated Iban, a powerful Kinshra mage. Moia, nearly 500 years after being assigned her mission and nearing death, infiltrated Demonheim and discovered the Margaret Bilrak.
You will find no more suitable a target for you than Bilrak. Our wretch for our wretch. Never forget, you are here only because of your link to me, child. I would see you waste your extended lifespan digging ditches for all the time I wasted in creating you. Your life is mine to waste.
Bilrak explained his goals to Moia and showed her the energy portals throughout the fortress, and explained how absorbing their power allowed him to skip the last ritual of rejuvenation. Moia then agreed to travel with Bilrak and empowered herself with the portals, regaining all of her lost energy, and then some. At the end of the dungeon, Moia entered the Rift.
I left Demonheim and walked into a new world, stepping across plains in a single stride. Gielinor melted away around me, and I found myself in a world that was both wonderful and alien. It was formed from fire, mutable in state, in countless colors and designs that I lack the words to describe. It was a world of chaos that defied the laws of nature. It was beautiful. It was at the heart of this world that I first met my lord. He did not command, nor invite. He expected, commanding without a word or gesture. And his presence alone was an instruction that I could not ignore.
Zamorak, who cared deeply about the future of the Margaret, saw what Lucian, obsessed with obtaining power and immortality, could not. Moia, while weaker than pure-blooded Margaret, possessed a unique physiology that could hold the secrets to a new future for their race. For Margaret are divine beings, and divine beings do not have mortal souls. Moia was the exception. She was a Margaret, a divine being with a mortal soul. It was in the age of the Fifth that a child was born to simple beginnings. Even though they started their life with little money to their name and nothing but a dream of adventure, they began their career by